Professor Jane. This is the Global Digest think tank group, and you are our guest today. Let us know what is geopsychology theory.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. It's a great pleasure and honor for me inviting me to speak this afternoon on a very important topic, that is the geopsychology theory.
Yes.
Now, there are several questions, first of all, which should arise in our mind. Why geopsychology theory? Very recently, because a very eminent professor and theoretician, IR theoretician, Professor Peter Katjanstein at Cornell University's latest book, Entanglement in World Politics. The title of the book is Entanglement in World Politics, The Power of Uncertainty. The Power of Uncertainty, published by Cambridge University 2026. Now, Professor Katjanstein maintained that the world is too much uncertain. There are two terms he used: uncertainty and risk. You cannot predict about the world order
Right.
because of non-military threats in the world. I'm not talking about the military threat only, but non-military threats like ethnic conflicts, okay, religious war, cultural war, this thing or that thing. So I was toying with the idea that mainstream IR theories have not been able to explain the problems faced by the global souths. I'm using the word global souths. So the two worlds, one dominated by the Western IR theorists who are particularly active in Harvard University, Yale University. I visited many universities when I was teaching courses. In 2013, I used geopsychology. At the time, my book didn't appear, but in my graduate class, I introduced the concept of geopsychology and told my student, well, if you can write a good essay, that would be a great service to the advancement of geopsychology. We have heard about geopolitics, we have heard about geoeconomics, we have heard about realism, we have heard about pluralism, constructivism.
Right.
So I offered a critique that main IR theories have been unable to explain and predict. These are the two important components of a theory. A theory must be explanatory and predictive. If it cannot predict, it means it is not a theory. Now, I give you a couple of examples. The demise of the Soviet Union in December 1991 could not be predicted by scholars, great scholars, including Henry Kissinger, a great realist. He is no more in the world. He completed 100 years, and I was fan of Henry Kissinger because of his realism, of course. And it was pitiably acknowledged by scholars in the United States and in Europe that no theory could predict the demise of the Soviet Union. Okay. Nobody could predict about the 2008 economic meltdown, 2008.
Right.
So that was wonderful. So I was thinking that why these mainstream theories are unable to predict and explain the reasons. And so this theory addresses the gap, number one. Now, psychology theories, what are the strengths of this theory? That it addresses the gap. It puts emphasis on geography, history, culture, identity, nationalism. Now, if you look at the ground reality in the world, because this is the anarchical world order. This world is anarchical. The world is full of uncertainties. My Our forthcoming title is Indo-Pacific Construct: Geopolitical Alignments in the World of Global Uncertainty. Uncertainty. So there is global uncertainty. Therefore, geopsychology theory offers international relations scholars a missing dimension. It's a missing theory, I should call it. The collective psychology of relations is shaped by geography, history, cultural memory, historical grievances, sufferings, civilization values. These are the components of geopsychology. If you ignore the past history, past historical narratives, it is that you are not learning any lesson from history. Now, China, for instance, my article on China's geopsychology was published in 2019 journal, in which I have maintained that China has the Middle Kingdom mentality. Isn't it? Now, this is the past is very important. Historical narratives are very important. Historical traumas are very important. Historical sufferings are very important. People don't forget about it. So, European aggressions, European intervention, people bear in their mind, they keep in their memory, and the leadership's role is to revive those historical narratives. Xi Jinping has been reviving the past sufferings at the hands of Japan, and he maintains that Japan must apologize for its attack on China, isn't it? What happened during the Second World War?
Right.
So they are keeping the historical memory in their mind, and accordingly they shape and reshape their decision making. This is important. European powers, European elites, American elites, and American leaders, they don't appreciate it, unfortunately, because they don't want to. And in the current scenario, I must add that Trump has virtually acknowledged that he underestimated Iran's military capabilities, moral, civilization values, Shiite identity, because these people keep their historical narratives, their civilization and cultural values alive, which unite the whole country. In the recent US-Iran war, you will find when America was going to attack, their nuclear installations, people gathered over there in lakhs and lakhs, millions people gathered there. That see, in other countries, people don't gather when the war is going on. They are asked to remain in their homes, confined to barracks, this thing or that thing, or to places which are uh, quite safe. But here, the very unique geopsychology of Iran. I thought Khomeini was living as if he's an ordinary person. He was asked. He said that when my citizens can afford to live freely, why should I not? Isn't it so? He didn't remain in barracks or for his safeguard and all that. So that is a very important. So America didn't understand the psychology of Iran, isn't it? Underestimated its morale, underestimated its military capabilities. What is important is the morale of the people, isn't it? And Then their identity. Identity is very important. Every country's Chinese identity, Iran's identity, okay, Pakistan's identity, because they are prepared to make any sacrifice for their national identity. Now, realism and liberalism, they explain power and institutions. If you see, for instance, offensive realism by Professor Mearsheimer at Chicago University is a very well-known professor, and I have offered a critique of his theory, which is known as offensive realism, where he emphasizes the role of maximizing power, that you maximize your power so that you can ensure your security. Now, I told that it is not feasible proposition. A small country like Bhutan, isn't it, cannot afford to spend so much of money, isn't it, on enhancing the security when it comes to India. Okay, so
Right.
that theory I maintain in my book this enough space to offer a critique to Mearsheimer offensive realism. It means that in order to maintain the US supremacy, what is important is America wants to maintain its supremacy. American scholars and intellectuals, they have been uh, favoring that you please maintain the US supremacy at any cost in the field of technology, the field of education, in the field of uh, economic tech, which is called tech capitalism. Tech capitalism is now a new phrase which is being used in the United States, that America must maintain its hegemony, in other words. You and I had written a book on hegemony, isn't it? And when I was teaching a course in the United States in 2006 and 2007 at Binghamton University in New York, every student, was charmed by the word hegemony, hegemony, hegemony. मैंने कहा India, but very few students they use the term hegemony, because when you are repeating the word US hegemony, but after 9/11, American hegemony was shattered to a great extent, isn't it? 9/11. And after 9/11, America took the immediate decision to send its forces to Afghanistan, a very important case study. It's a very important case study. I have termed it the first Waterloo for America. First Waterloo for America. Why? Because American forces remained there for 2 decades, from 2001 to 2021. Overwhelming military power, technological skills, technological, supremacy. So America thought that we will be able to win over the people of Afghanistan as their liberators, as did America and Iraq also, that we are your liberators. But people said no. Maybe our rulers may be dictator, don't mind. But he is from our soil. He is from our soil. Why American forces are there? So ultimately, America had to withdraw forces from Iraq in 2011. Obama was president at that time, and America had to withdraw its forces from Vietnam, very small country, but the moral of the people and very strong nationalism, isn't it? So this is the part of geopsychology. Nationalism is part of geopsychology because these people main IR theories emphasize on power capabilities, institutions, liberal institutions like UN, World Bank, IMF, this thing or that thing, isn't it? So there they saw the world through their Western lens, isn't it? That what is the best for the rest, what is the best for the West is the best for the rest. This theory was applied, this theory was applied, this perception was applied, this assumption was applied by the United States and scholars, isn't it, to maintain the US supremacy. If I may not use the word hegemony, but US supremacy. And that is why President Trump is talking about America first. America first, you know. So that is why I mentioned these reasons that I have had to think over that the role of non-state and transnational actors is important because it was neglected so far in the mainstream IR theories. Role of non-state actors. Al Qaeda, non-state actor. America never imagined that it will threaten American security. 9/11 took place. Okay.
Right.
And that is why America had sent forces to Afghanistan, where it remained for 20 years, for 2 decades, but could not achieve anything. And Trump had said zero, zero. He is, so it is estimated that America spent $3 trillion, not in billions, but in trillions. Can you imagine? $3 trillion in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, this thing or that thing.
A lot of money.
On the contrary, President Trump had given the exaggerated figures that $6 trillion were spent, and we got nothing. I'm quoting him. We got nothing. So this was America's first battle. My recent article appeared in Eurasia Review on Iran's geopsychology. Another Waterloo for America. This was the another Waterloo for America. And American media, press, electronic media, by and large, have acknowledged that US lost the war in Iran in the Middle East. America, whereas Trump said, no, 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 we have won the war. We have won the war. We have destroyed, you know, the capabilities, military capabilities, naval capabilities of Iran, destroyed their infrastructure, this thing or that thing, so it is unable to fight. Now, facts speak. Facts speak. You can't ignore the facts. Facts are facts. Henry Kissinger said, facts are facts which have to be used. Trump might say that, okay, America has won the war. It has weakened Iran to a very great extent. But why Trump is trying every moment to enter into negotiation with Iran? I'm not going into details, but here, Iranian people united against, they use the term invaders, that the United States should not establish its air bases, military bases, naval bases where in the Middle East. Okay. So Iran is a different country, and because of strategic isolation, there is another term I'm using, because of strategic isolation, because no Muslim country is supporting Iran. isn't it? So, because of strategic isolation, Iran has been engaged in developing its nuclear capability. So, America wants to eliminate Iran's nuclear capability, isn't it? And that is why Trump has been putting emphasis on no, Iran should not have, enriched uranium. We means America will steal Iran's uranium. For scholars like us, Trump has made it very easy because he is very open. He gives open challenge. President, they don't do it like this. This is not the way, isn't it? That I will wipe out your culture, your civilization, and you will reach the Stone Age. He said about Iran. He said about Iran, threatening Iran.
Right. Iranian religion, extremist religion. You can say that Trump is Trump is warning he will destroy geopsychology of Iranian.
Yeah. In Benares, in a college, autonomous college, is has taken up the topic for his PhD on Iran's geopsychology, post-revolutionary Iran's foreign policy and analysis from the geopsychological point of view. Isn't it? No, he's interested. They are doing. Some student is interested in carrying out doing PhD in Iran's geopsychology. Isn't it? So it's good. And some students they have cited my book, in their MA dissertations, graduate studies courses, isn't it? And very good reviews have appeared. Reviews of geopsychology theory have appeared, and citations are there for the geopsychology. So it is picking up. This is a new theory. Now, if you ask me to say what is geopsychology, I have given the definition that geopsychology can be briefly defined as a set of perceptions, images, and belief systems full of the shared history, culture, nationalism, religion, ethnicity that shape mindsets and behavioral patterns of individual and non-state and authoritarian actors, inhabiting in a specific geographical area or region. Right. So this is a very simple definition that how geopsychology is formed. In the case of India and Pakistan that when there is a cricket match between India and Pakistan, they they fight like anything, isn't it? Pakistan thinks that it does not mind if it loses cricket match to Bangladesh or to any country, Afghanistan, but it should not miss, cricket match, isn't it, when playing with India? This is the geopsychology of Pakistan, isn't it? Pakistani former Prime Minister, very influential, sophisticated Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto had said that Pakistan must make nuclear bomb even if we have to eat the grass. When Bangladesh was formed, Bangladesh was formerly part of Pakistan. In 1971, this was dismemberment of Pakistan. So Bhutto could not tolerate. Indira Gandhi was responsible for the partition of Bangladesh. And he said there is no other alternative. Therefore, the only alternative is to make nuclear bomb. Okay. That is why, out of his emotional outburst, he said that we must make nuclear bomb even if we have to eat the grass. This is the geopsychology. isn't it? People don't understand it. That is why I mentioned in my book the forces of emotions, emotional outburst is part of geopsychology. Emotional outburst, traumas, past humiliation. China is talking about that we suffered past humiliation for a century, isn't it?
Right.
So they are not, China is not forgetting about it, isn't it? That we have suffered a lot, isn't it? At the
Right.
hands of foreigners or at the hands of alien powers, isn't it? Opium War was there in China. Okay, so the past memories are very important, isn't it, in formulating the psychology as well as decision making of ruling elites. And that is why this also helps in building nation building. This helps in nation building, isn't it? Okay, we will see, we will fight. So the grit and determination of the people is very important, and the ruling elite's job is to keep the past trauma alive so that people unite. So that people unite. Unity is very important. Emotional integration is there, isn't it? Emotional integration is there.
You are relating your psychology with the colonized country when you talk about South, global South, colonized country mostly. So you are relating your psychology theory is global South or colonized countries and also emotional history related as you
Yeah,
described. So these are uh, ge- geopsychology, also religious and social culture, like extremists. I mean, Islamic extremists. I don't know. You are also applying all these religious extremists, Al Qaeda or Islamic terrorists. This, if you say geopsychologists, they will refer your geopsychologists they are applying for Islamic terrorists, extremist terrorists, Al Qaeda, or even Muslim Brotherhood, Iran, Shia uh, uh, autocracy. So I'm not sure whether geopsychology is always good or not. Maybe not always good, or uh, theory is there, as you mentioned, your psychology theory, as you said, but that theory is not necessarily always it may be good, or also it can be also bad for many application of geopsychology. Maybe China also say like Confucian culture is part of geopsychology. Many authoritarian and dictatorship can be also fall in geopsychology. How can you say communism also?
the point is, Mr. Thal, that the global South has been ignored.
Right,
I will let you know this book. Okay, I purchased a couple of months back the One and the Future World Order by Amitav Acharya, a prominent scholar in United States, and he talks about the emerging order. He talks about civilizational values, cultural values of global South have been ignored.
right,
So the once and future world order. Once means once in the past, what was the world order based on Western centric thinking, thought, ideology, isn't it? And what is going to be future world order in which he places the importance of culture, civilization, isn't it? So that's why this book is very, very important. So revealing how the decline of the West may be a good thing for the world.
right,
uh, it provides the glimpse of the real future that humanity is heading towards, isn't it? So non-Western nations find more voice, power, and prosperity. Now, in this book, because the global South has been ignored, whether
right.
it is
I
uh,
agree. I
Africa,
agree.
whether it is African region, now I'm expanding my case studies in which I'm going to include African geopolitics and geopsychology, Latin American, because now I could understand, because we have forgotten the past history, whether it is Latin America or whether it is Africa. Why African people have suffered a lot, isn't it? They are still poor, which is known as dark continent. Why it is called dark continent? Because they are very rich in minerals,
Right,
natural resources. They are very rich, isn't it? But they
right,
have not been able to translate the value of their natural resources into prosperity, isn't it?
right,
So I will be including a couple of uh, case studies. I've already included, case studies on South Asia, Southeast Asia, on Northeast Asia. Now, in Northeast Asia, there is a chapter. You can find my chapter on North Korea Peninsula, North Korean Peninsula, the geopsychology of North Korean leaders, Mr. Un. And in my book, I have maintained that to some extent, President Donald Trump is a geopsychologist. Why? Because he went to see him, Kim Jong Un, in 2002. What happened? North Korean leader, his father, wanted to talk to the president.
right,
President Bush said, no, no, president is a very, very big authority. We are not going to talk to you. North Korea was termed as the axis of evil. So they don't forget about it, okay? And that is why Un became much more aggressive in his approach on the security issue. And here Kim Jong has acknowledged very recently that had we not possessed nuclear weapons and missiles, America could have wiped it out. So security is very important for North Korea, and therefore it doesn't bother, about the UN sanctions or the US sanctions or any sanctions by European country. It doesn't mind. This is the geopsychology, isn't it? America does not understand that, but President Trump, in his first term, he went to see him twice. That this young boy, he called it young boy, young guy, can bring havoc, isn't it? If you threaten him, he will retaliate. He will retaliate and might endanger the security of Japan and South Korea because he said that I will wipe you out from the world map. This is on record. This is on record. Okay. So South Korea advised President Trump that don't be harsh towards North Korea because we are entering into dialogue. In 1997, I remember it at the World Congress of IFSA. I was there, and all the scholars assembled over there in Seoul. We had signed the peace petitions, the reunification of Koreas, isn't it? In 1997, I am talking about that. At the time I was participant and presented a paper at the World Congress of Political Science Association, isn't it? But America does not want that there should be unity. There should be unification of North Korea and South Korea. It has been lengthening its military presence in South Korea. America has been conducting exercises, military exercises with South Korea, and Un takes it badly. Oh, okay, what are you doing? Why military exercise between you? You are provoking us, isn't it? So, in my book, I have already taken up a case study of North Korea, South Korea, isn't syndrome. Now, let me further say that GT offers a fresh research agenda. My purpose is twofold purpose to offer a fresh research agenda for scholars who want to understand drivers of conflict and cooperation. Geopsychology is a means for conflict resolution, how to end conflicts in volatile regions in the world. They are squandering billions and billions of dollars, now maybe trillions of dollars unnecessarily.
Right.
Ruling leaders do not think, unfortunately, in most of the Asian countries, ruling leaders, they don't think that weapons building, what is the amount of expenditure incurred on building weapons and weapons. That weapon psychology is being created by America to sell it weapons. Saudi Arabia and all these countries, UAE.
Your geopsychology is colonized country and uh, underdeveloped country, most South, global South were most ignored country. On the one hand, those authoritarian and extremist terrorists and dictator communists, they are they are reading your geopsychology as part of the dictatorship, as terrorist activity or social culture, like Confucian culture. So these are two direction your geopsychology can be read by
Right.
two audience. So
Yeah.
the future humanity, although you said global south and those forgotten regions, global south, should be emphasized. At the same time, in my view, in the future humanity, we have to prevent those dictatorship, authoritarianism, terrorism, extreme. So how can you adjust or balance these two sides?
I value your comments, very important comments. Okay. Uh, Now, geopsychology needs to be understood, appreciated within the framework of fragmented world order. I call it a fragmented, there is no world order as such. Even if you call it a world order, I term it as a fragmented world order. I don't see, because I can argue with I also argued with my colleagues and students there that you tell me where is a stable and peaceful world order. We are talking about because these are the theories which have been advanced by scholars. But
Right,
on ground reality, there is no world order. It is Hadley Bull's book is very relevant. Anarchical World Order by Hadley Bull, isn't it? So I refer this book to my students and also to emerging scholars in the IR theory that look here, he was correct. Anarchical world order. There is a mad race for power aggression, for weapons. Everything is being weaponized. Geography is being weaponized. I tell you, geography is being weaponized. History is being weaponized. Okay. So here comes the role of geopsychology as a either as a new branch of IR, and if you don't consider a new branch, then of course it is a filling theory. I always call it a filling theory. Why so? Because Mr. Thang, I would like to put emphasis that mainstream Western centric IR theories have ignored, they have ignored the peculiarities. What are those peculiarities? Peculiarities in governing institutions and mindsets of its leaders. They've ignored. Western centric theories have ignored the governing institutions, mindsets of leaders, showing their utter ignorance about the global south, as I mentioned. This is, I may give another term, the poverty of knowledge, ignorance trap. I have
Right.
given the subheading ignorance trap. You are trapped in ignorance, isn't it? Because knowledge is power. What Socrates said, knowledge is power. You yourself can analyze that how much ignorant Trump is about Asia, how much ignorant he is about Iran, Middle Eastern countries. Sometimes he is so much ignorant about India. Fluctuations in his assessment about Modi government. And Prime Minister Modi used to say that Trump is my good friend, my good friend. But on ground realities, you can't rely on Trump. Now, unfortunately, because you are also working, isn't it, whether it is, Myanmar, sometimes I worked on Myanmar also. I do remind them of the 1947 Asian Conference, which was held in New Delhi. Asian Conference, please. At the time, Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, Mr. Nehru, he appealed to Asian leaders that Asia is for Asians. Okay. And that is why Jawaharlal Nehru continued supporting China's entry into the UN. America could not understand his philosophy, Nehru's philosophy, that why are you supporting China? Though China has attacked India and is your neighbor and it has taken your territory, this thing or that thing, you are fool. Nehru said, no, you can't ignore the emerging China, isn't it? You can't ignore such a big power. So we want to maintain good relations with China. And therefore, he used his new paradigm, the new paradigm of peaceful coexistence. This agreement was signed between India and China in 1954, and Chao and Lai appreciated Nehru's approach to peaceful coexistence, that
Right.
we can coexist peacefully.
Right.
1954 agreement.
At the time
Yes.
was at the time was Zhou Enlai, Nehru, UNU, Burmese Prime Minister. They are very
Yeah.
active leadership in Asia. And Burmese was Bhutan was Secretary General after 1960s, something like that. And then China, PRC, China was become UN member, and during Burmese Secretary General, Burmese invited them, introduced them. Even US and China was never relationship, through Burmese bridge, US
Yeah.
and China can make diplomatic, That that's
Right.
that time Nehru, UNU, Zhao and Lai, they are very active leaders. So they are also initiated non-interference policy by point for non-interference and those things. But I don't know that's how much good or not. In case of Burmese people not feel any benefit from, non-aligned movement or in Asian value or whatever. Burmese people will suffer under dictatorship, military government continuously. Democracy was destroyed and military uh, suppressed people till today. And nation building is totally failing, misused by military regime and authoritarian system.
I am pointing out the relevance of GT for 21st century challenges. Please underline
Right,
it. Please underline it. I already addressed the gap, knowledge gap, then the relevance of GT for 21st century challenges. Why? Because with the rise of non-state and authoritarian actors, now that that is quite visible, the rise of non-state actors, authoritarian actors,
right,
even in democracy. Trump himself is authoritarian. Democratic authoritarianism. Now the new term is given democratic authoritarianism. Have you heard about it?
right.
So therefore, to address the challenges of the 21st century, GT is most relevant, I believe. Second thing is policy relevance, because leadership, whether in South or whether in North, does not matter. Whether it is China, whether it is Korea, whether it is Myanmar, they will have to rethink about the relevance, isn't it? They will, because if they go through, the new theory, or if they apply it, new theory to their policy decision making, this will be helpful, will be saving their millions, billions, and trillions of dollars. I'm very hopeful about it, but I do not know how to reach out, because through your medium,
That's
through your platform, I'm very happy if you spread the word geopsychology. That's important, and especially for Asian countries. So we are fighting unnecessarily. My third point is interdisciplinary approach. GT's approach is interdisciplinary because it draws on history, it draws on psychology, cultural studies, geography. So this may appeal to IR scholars and practitioners. Then my fourth argument that it is comprehensive in scope, unlike other IR theories which are narrowly structured, isn't it? But it is comprehensive. Okay. Sometimes they raise the question that how will you measure the psychological disposition? I have told you that psychology is also concerned with psychological dispositions of ruling leaders. How will you measure this question? So I have developed to answer them. To answer this question, I have developed a micro scale to sketch out the behavioral patterns of ruling leaders. How? Through their speeches. So the content analysis of their speeches, content analysis of official records on foreign and security policies, they're available, isn't it, to the people, to the scholars? This is the way. So I call it micro scale. I have developed to measure psychological dispositions, isn't it? So my focus now is on more case studies, as I told you, that GT can be applied in diverse regions, not only confined to Asia or to volatile regions, and to highlight the predictive value. My final concern is to highlight the predictive value of geopsychology. It can predict, yes, it can. What is going on in Iran or what is going on in the Middle East, the geopsychology theory can predict that what will happen in this area. Then this theory also highlights the failure of rational choice model, isn't it? Western rational choice. It is not necessary that ruling leaders take rational decisions, because in Western world there is a perception that ruling leaders they take rational decision, logical decision, but this rational choice model has not succeeded. And it is not applicable to the global south. America does not understand because it thinks if it is appropriate for the Western world, it is appropriate for the global south. How can it be? Because people say about the balance of power, but I don't see that there is a balance of power in the world and cannot be there. Isn't there been
I
a
will.
balance of power? America, yeah, Russia could not have dared attack, Ukraine. Okay, in 2014, it took, that part, took away that territory in 2014, long back. Then the attack in 2022. So, where is the balance of power? Isn't it? Trump does not. Some. I think it is very controversial, maybe, but China's impact on Trump has not been seen, isn't it? Whatever Trump thinks Trump is doing, he's talking about Greenland. Okay, why Greenland? Okay, had there been balance of power, Trump would not have taken the risk, isn't it, of attacking Iran. So I don't see there is a balance of power. Geopsychology can be applied to any region in the world, isn't it?
Right.
If if we understand the essentials of geopsychology, if you go through this book, you will find the what are the essentials of geopsychology, isn't it? So those essentials can be applied to any country, any region, okay, even uh, to traditional societies also. I have now traditional society like Afghanistan. Okay, Afghanistan, for instance, has social code. I have mentioned in my talk also that Afghanistan has cultural code, social code that is of revenge theory, isn't it? America could not understand. So it can be applied to any region, any society, any community, whether it is liberal, illiberal. Even it can be applied to illiberal democracy. What I'm saying, what are your concern, your question? My answer is very plain, very simple, that GT can be applied if we understand the essentials and the components of geopsychology. Okay. In terms of cultural values, civilizational values, the geographical terrain, that is also very important. I might cite the example that Panjshir Valley in Afghanistan could not be controlled by Soviet Union. Soviet Union had attacked Afghanistan, okay, and remained there, but it could not win over the people. Win over that region is known as Panjshir Valley. When American forces were there for 20 years, they could not win over that Panjshir Valley, isn't it? Tribal people are there. They did not dare go over there, isn't it? So this theory can be applied to the traditional societies, liberal societies, illiberal societies, authoritarian regimes, partially democratic regimes, okay, whether it is Russia or Crimea or Ukraine, I will be working on Ukraine's geopsychology, Russian geopsychology. I will be adding to because the past is always there. Past haunts even Russia today. Okay, Peter the Great, isn't it? Russia is talking about Peter the Great. Okay, and he used to, and President Putin keeps, his picture, his photo isn't on his table. Okay, Peter the Great. So,
Right.
yeah, so it's a continuous process. Okay, it is not confined to a particular era that it is relevant only for the 21st century. So long as human beings are there, isn't we as human beings are there, we have emotions, isn't it? If you are a human being, we have emotions, isn't it? And emotions are there, it means you are led by the identity concerns. Okay. In case of China, I say that in comparison to ideology, nationalism is a bigger force. Nationalism is a bigger force. Ideology is there, of course. It is the part of geopsychology. But when we compare ideology with nationalism, then nationalism comes first. Ideology, of course, is there. But nationalism, because nationalism unites the people, okay, that you bear the brunt of suffering, don't mind. You are doing it for the nation. Recently, Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi said that don't buy gold, isn't it? Because India is facing crisis. So don't use oil, don't do this thing, that thing, because the nation needs, restraint, needs discipline. So in the name of nationalism, under the banner of nationalism, you unite the people, isn't it, for a particular cause, isn't it? That's why I've said that in China, ideology comes later, nationalism comes first. Very important is Middle Kingdom mentality still persists in China. Middle Kingdom mentality, isn't it? That we were at the middle, we were at the center, and other countries, they were at the periphery, not at the center. So this Middle Kingdom mentality still persists in China, isn't it? So
So
I will
so
be adding, revising,
so
isn't it, Chinese geopsychology also, when I will revise this first edition, adding more chapters, and I will also include the role of intellectuals and academia, isn't it?
right,
So far
right.
as geopsychology is concerned, because I have so many Chinese friends, isn't it? North Korean friends, South Korean friends, and all that, where I taught and where I lived. Okay. So their role, diaspora's role, Chinese diaspora's role, isn't in promoting Chinese nationalism again very important, isn't it? So I talk to my friends, Chinese friends, isn't it? I was a visiting scholar at the Hong Kong University in 2002 to carry out a project on India-China relations. I was the first from India, isn't it? So I know, a couple of scholars in Hong Kong, and also I went to Beijing, isn't it, where I was heading a panel on geopsychology also. At the time, also I talked about this geopsychology in 2008. Sorry, not 2008, it was in 2004, World Congress of Psychology. I participated in, and I was panel chairperson. So we are trying to understand, this phenomenon. Okay.
So geopsychology outcome is you cannot expect always it's a good outcome. It can be also a bad outcome, like
Yeah.
authoritarianism,
Yeah.
dictatorship, right? Also in case of Pakistan and Kashmir, you can
Yeah.
predict as geopsychology, you can predict there will
Yeah.
be terrorist
I
attack
can send you. I can send
in
you
the
chapter
future
on.
based on
Yeah.
geopsychology prediction. it will happen
I can
again.
send you a chapter on geopsychology, South Asian geopsychology. You should
Thank
go.
you, Professor Jay. It was a pleasure to meet
Okay.
you.